This is the second article written by the Italian critical theorist Giorgio Agamben on the topic of the coronavirus pandemic and global governance. It's entitled Contagion, and it was published March 11th, 2020. The Anointer. Catch him! Catch him! Catch the Anointer! Alessandro Manzoni, The Betrothed. One of the most brutal consequences of the panic disseminated in Italy by every means possible during the so-called coronavirus epidemic is the idea of contagion, which forms the basis for the exceptional emergency measures enforced by the government. This idea, unknown to Hippocratic medicine, has its first, unwitting precursor during the pestilences that devastated several Italian cities between 1500 and 1600. This precursor is the figure of the Anointer, or plague spreader, immortalized by Manzoni in his novel The Betrothed, as well as in his essay The History of the Column of Infamy. A Milanese edict for the 1576 plague describes anointers as follows, and encourages citizens to report them. Quote, "The governor has learned that some people with a feeble zeal for charity, in order to terrorize and scare the people and inhabitants of the city of Milan, and to excite them to some turmoil, are applying ointments, which they consider pestiferous and contagious, to the doors and bolts of houses, to the corners of the city quarters, and to other places around the state, with the intention of bringing the plague to private and public spaces. Many inconveniences arise from this behavior, which has significantly affected the people of Milan, mainly those who are easily persuaded to believe such things. The governor hereby decrees that anyone, regardless of quality, status, rank, or condition, who reports within 40 days of this announcement any person or persons who have favored, helped, or known about such an injury will be awarded 500 scudi." Close quote. Although there are some differences, the recent orders, issued by the government as decrees that we want to hope, alas, an illusion, will not be voted into law by Parliament before they expire, transform, in effect, every individual into a potential plague spreader, just as the orders against terrorism considered every citizen as a de facto and de jure potential terrorist. The analogy is so exact that the potential plague spreader who does not comply with the regulations is punished with imprisonment. Particularly frowned upon is the figure of the healthy or precocious carrier who infects a multitude of individuals without affording them the possibility of defending themselves against him as they could have had from the anointer. Even sadder than the limitations on freedom implicit in these orders is, in my view, the deterioration of human relationships that they foster. Others, whoever they are, even loved ones, must not be approached or touched. Instead, we should establish between them and ourselves a distance that is 1 meter by some accounts, but that according to the latest suggestions by the so-called experts should be 4.5 meters. Those 50 centimeters are so interesting. Our neighbor has been abolished. It is possible, given the ethical inconsistency of our rulers, that whoever issued these orders did so under the same fear that they intend to instill in others. Still, it is difficult not to notice that the situation which these orders create is exactly that which those who govern us have tried to actualize many times before. The closure of universities and schools, once and for all, with lessons conducted only online, the cessation of gatherings and conversations on politics or culture, and the exchange of messages only digitally, so that wherever possible machines can replace any contact, any contagion among human beings.